An eye on that, and we'll bring it to you live once former President Trump takes the stage, and we'll explain why in just a minute. But of course, when you look at what is happening right now there at Madison Square Garden, it harkens back to a different moment and a different time in America, back to 1939, that very same venue. It also hosted thousands of people at a Nazi rally, and that rally was in support of Hitler and fascism. Hard to imagine in that America, but it did happen. And now in 2024, many decades later, Trump and his acolytes speaking at that very same venue, as I just said. But all of this, as all of this plays out, a different vision for America. Vice President Kamala Harris out on the stump, too. She spent most of her day in the battleground state of Pennsylvania, making stops at a barbershop, a local bookstore, Puerto Rican restaurant, and a black church, asking voters to take a step back and think about what a second Trump presidency could actually mean for this country.
Look, just imagine the Oval Office on January 20th. It's going to be one or two people. It's going to be either Donald Trump or me. If it's Donald Trump, you can see what that day is going to be. It will be him sitting at that desk, stewing over his enemies list. He is full of grievance. He is full of dark language that is about retribution and revenge.
She went on to a rally in Philadelphia telling attendees this.
There is too much on the line, and we must not wake up the day after the election and have any regrets about what we could have done in these next 9 days. So let's spend these next 9 days knowing we did everything we could.
To hit home her message of the danger Donald Trump poses to America, the Vice President will deliver her closing message to the country this coming Tuesday night at the very site where Donald Trump called on his mob to fight like hell on January the 6th at the Ellipse Park outside the White House. It is a shocking side-by-side moment that we find ourselves in tonight as Trump descends on a city and a state that he cannot win at a site once used to rally sympathy for the Nazi cause. Let's bring in NBC News correspondent Vaughn Hilliard, who's live for us at Trump's rally in Madison Square Garden. Vaughn, walk us through some of the themes that have been addressed tonight at this rally, some of the speakers there, and some of the language that has been used.
Right, you see Elon Musk is speaking here right now, and you can argue that this is a bigger production than the National Convention was earlier this summer. For the Republican Party, this is their position.
Some audio technical issues there with Vaughn. We're going to try to address the audio in just a moment and come back to him throughout the course of this evening. As we mentioned, we are waiting for the former president to speak at this, what has been a very ugly and divisive rally throughout the course of this afternoon here in New York City. I do want to bring into the conversation right now as we continue our coverage, Amisha Cross, Democratic strategist, a former Obama campaign advisor and SiriusXM host. Also with us, Rick Wilson, co-founder of the Lincoln Project and author of the book Running Against the Devil, a plot to save America from Trump and Democrats from themselves. A very appropriately named book, Rick, and I'll start with that. We are seeing right now hours of speakers upon speakers using some very dangerous, some very ugly and divisive language. I have a running list of some of the things that have been said about immigrants, about black Americans, about gay Americans, the language of mass deportations, attacks, personal attacks on the vice president, threats, lies about this country. A very, very dark chapter that we're seeing unfold right now at Madison Square Garden.
You know, this afternoon it started very quickly with a so-called comedian calling Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage in the ocean, making the most repulsive racial jokes about Latinos in this country. Another speaker saying that Kamala Harris had pimp handlers. These people started low and kept digging. And I think it's incumbent upon all of us to recognize what this is. The echoes of the Madison Square Garden American Bund rally aren't just echoes anymore. It's not just a history vaguely repeating itself. This is a tribute band. This is suffused with hatred of Americans who are not Donald Trump. It is suffused with hatred of Americans who are not exactly along the lines that he wants to see around him. And I find it remarkable. I'm not outraged by it. I'm not surprised by it. This is what Trump and Trumpism is. This is the core of their being. They are foul. They are low. They are racial. The racial animus is present everywhere. Stephen Miller up there tonight, speaking as if people who come from other countries are animals who must be purged. This is a low for American politics, but I'm hopeful that as America watches this, they are as repulsed as most right-thinking people would be.
And you bring us to a very important point about why we are carrying a part of this speech, certainly when Trump takes the stage. It's not in any way, shape, or form to platform this hate or this ugliness. It is to show Americans what's at stake. I think it's important to remind our viewers, I think for those who are somehow siloed into their own information bubble that may not necessarily believe this, may not take Trump literally, may not hear the kind of language that is being spewed by the person who wants to be the commander-in-chief of this country, a man whose former generals have openly now called a fascist, and certainly a fascist at his core. That is the person that America needs to see. Amisha, your thoughts on what we've heard and seen play out this afternoon?
Well, I remember just a few weeks ago when the Republicans were pushing back so hard, saying basically it was time to turn the page. It was time to set a different temperature, a different mood. Things were a little bit too angry. This is the same Republican Party and the same leader of that party that have been vitriolic, that have been hateful, that have been racist, that have been misogynistic, that have been xenophobic this entire time. And I think that today's rally in Madison Square Garden, in a city that is one of the most diverse cities in America, in a city that was known to be not only one of the beacons of light for immigrants and the cultural representation that America is, he decides to go there. Understanding the history, I think that people try to play up Donald Trump as an idiot, as someone who is not intellectually capable. He knows the history very well of Nazism. He knows that he is using Nazi language. He knows that America First was a mantra that was chanted at that Nazi rally at Madison Square Garden decades ago. He knows exactly what he's doing out here. The words that I heard earlier around Latinos, it made me question a lot of things, not only about the Trump administration, the previous Trump administration, those who work for him, those who chose that, but also Donald Trump, the Republican Party, and the Latinos who still support him. I'm also really frustrated when I continue to hear folks say that it's about the economy. That man got up there and he's not talking about the economy. He is up there talking about an America that does not have diversity, in America where people of color are treated as vermin. He sees them as vermin, how sickening it is to have people of color in this country. That is not who we are. And if you choose to support that man, far be it from me to try to protect a nation that is running headfirst into authoritarian slide with a man who has told us over and over again who he is. He wants to be a dictator. He's a known racist. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
And to that point, Rick, I mean, this week has been extremely clear from people who have served previously in the Trump administration. And some may have questioned why it has taken so long to get to this moment. I think if there was any doubt on some of the language that has been used to describe Donald Trump, that today is cast aside by the language that these people chose to use, these speakers that were hand-selected by the Trump campaign to address America today in New York City.
Look, there's an amazing and immediate pushback when you say to them, you're being fascists, you're acting like Nazis. And they have a hyperbolic response to it almost instantaneously. But you know what? If the jackboot fits, wear it. That's what they're doing. That's the language they're using. That's the behavior they're engaged in. All of it comes down to a party that is defined now primarily by racial and ethnic animus. And the idea that you're going to hear Donald Trump in just a few minutes go out and say things to the equivalent of poisoning the blood of our country, and the caravans are coming, and the gangs are eating the dogs and cats. Those things seem, on the one hand, separated. They seem absurd little individual points. But the fact of the matter is, it is a coherent, ugly, horrifying set of beliefs that they have now, and they want to impose those beliefs on a country that is not built for that, that is built to be propositional, that is built to be pluralistic, that is built to be a republic based on representative democracy. All of those things they loathe, they despise those things, and they're telling you just how much they hate them.
And there is something, Amisha, about the fact that this is taking place in New York City, perhaps the most diverse, most tolerant city in America. They have tried to portray Donald Trump as a victim in this city, talking about how he built this city, how he made this city, how he changed this city's skyline, and portray those officials in this city who have tried to uphold the rule of law and make sure that no one is above the rule of law as his attackers and people that are out to tear him down.
Absolutely. And the narrative that Donald Trump has been selling about his relationship to New York, he's the god of the city. He's the person who created it. New York wouldn't exist without Donald Trump. We all know that those things are false. We also know that the city, that the court system that indicted him, that the one that found him guilty on 34 felony charges was in New York. What we also know about Donald Trump is that this is the same guy who said that the South could have kept a little slavery. I don't know how much a little slavery is or how that would have worked out, but I do know as a black person, I wouldn't want to be bought and sold today. But if it was up to Donald Trump, my body would be up for that. What we have to know about this man is what he shows us, what he tells us, what Project 2025 tells us, and what his acolytes have said up there on that stage. He is racist to the core. There is no black or brown group that he does not find to attack. When I heard some of the speakers today talk about how basically the Palestinian children deserve to die because we should always be on the side of Israel no matter what, even though these innocent people are dying by the hundreds, and because somehow that is against America, we need to stand up. This isn't an economic message. Donald Trump is a racist, and he wants America to go down that path.
All right, let's take a listen now to some of these remarks from Donald Trump, and then we'll pick up the conversation on the other side.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much to a very popular former First Lady, hopefully First Lady again. And I just want to say a very big hello to a special place, New York, and to an incredible arena, Madison Square Garden. Incredible. And then we have all of the people that could fill it up 10 times. You take a look at outside what's going on all the way down to the river, the beautiful, beautiful Hudson River. They're outside watching this now at levels that nobody's ever seen before. They've never had it. And I want to thank Jim Dolan. He's been incredible. He's been just incredible. The job they've done. Thank you. But I'm thrilled to be back in the city I love, and thousands of proud, hard-working American patriots. You're with me. We're all together. We've always been together. And I'd like to begin by asking a very